when we did that?
No,
I looked clear from January.
I think it was before the first of the year.
Was
Probably,
it?
you know what, it probably
Do
wasn't
it
in
at
the
the-
staff report. Probably
That-
wasn't an agenda item, we
Yeah.
voted on it.
And that's what I looked at, was in his staff report, but I just can't find it. Because I could have swore we voted on it too. But my brain's a little discombobulated. So, would you like to start?
I thought we were getting ready to, and then we
Oh.
started this conversation.
No.
Are we up and running?
Yep.
All righty. Good afternoon. Today is August 22nd, 2022. The time is now 4:04 PM. I am Kevin Day, Chair of the Custer County Board of Commissioners, and I will call to order this special meeting of the Board of Commissioners. And if you do have cell phones, please silence them at this time. And if you would please join me for the pledge. Jennifer, could you lead us? Could you lead us?
You want me to? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Play ball.
There you go. Kelly, could we get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Day,
Here.
Commissioner Kanda,
Here.
Commissioner Flower,
Resident,
Attorney Clint Smith,
Present.
and clerk to the board, Kelly Campbell.
oh, sorry, give me a second, I was in another meeting.
Into the twilight zone.
I remember Kevin.
I remember him too. I saw him just the other day. All right, then. Audience introductions. We'll go ahead and start with you, Braden, and work our way back.
Director of Finance and HR, Braden Wilson. Steve Laswell, Attainable Housing Board.
Charles Bogle, Attainable Housing Board.
Deb Adams, Custer County Tourism. Jennifer Creed, your assistant.
All right. Thank you. And do we have any amendments to the agenda?
Right here.
Don't believe so, sir.
All right. That being said, then, new business. We have consideration of transfer of funds for the airport. And so I think we were waiting for Braden to be back before we address this.
Is Braden back?
If you could give us possibly, Bill, if you could give us a brief synopsis.
Okay,
of
quick
what-
summary. We had a original grant that we received from CDOT Aviation Division, and in February that was approved. It was for 175,000 state and a 19,445 county match. And then as time went on, because of different issues that came up, it took a while to get started. And in that meantime, they came up with a new technology fog seal that they wanted to make sure that would be an ideal thing for us to take a look at and use on this airport. And they made it available at a good price, and we're able to negotiate the match down because of the fact that we had already, it was hard to come up with matching funds. And so they were allowed, rather than a 10% match, the overall match on this between the two grants at a 5% for the new piece and a 10% for the original piece, brings it down to a 7.43% match. And they also agreed in that same meeting, because of the timing on it, because of the temperature, that they would go ahead and extend it past the fiscal year and keep the money and bring up the amount of money that the state would match to a total of $400,000. And that means that our match for this part of the year to catch it and then catch the next match, and we invoice it for next year, it would be $16,858 roughly that we are here to discuss today. Excuse me. And I would recommend it with, because you don't know exactly what the final bids are gonna be, that would be we probably ought to increase it to an even 17,000, probably make some sense. Or 17.5 if you wanna. Look
So
at
a question, if I may. So the 16,858, is that a total amount or is that in addition to the 19,445?
No, the total amount on the whole grant would be, just so you know, the total amount would be $29,721. That's the total amount, averaging it out at the 7.43%. Those are the figures that the state sent back to us.
So that would 29,721 would be the county match.
Yep, on the total grant. This fall, it would be, part of that would be 16,858, and that would leave the balance that we would have to come up with as we go through our budget process in October to fund for next year, when we spend the money on the crack seal. So that's the big picture. And then Braden, I know you've been looking because we've got the issue is with the new computing system, and how you're bending money, and also how you've been budgeting it to now. I know there's some that hasn't been allocated in some cases, and maybe it has in others, and we got to find out who's got it and what you would recommend to us.
Yeah, so just trying with that all in mind, because we don't have our final determination back from the audit yet. That will have to be in.
You've got a copy of this.
Has to be in by the end of September.
Yeah.
So with that in mind and trying to not touch any reserves
You can see the total.
that are over, essentially any unallocated funds or anything that was left over from last year as a safety precaution. I'm just looking through maybe where we can use some money that we've already budgeted in another department. Of course, the first place I want to look is the directly under the commissioner departments. There's not a lot there, and we're looking at like 5,000 maybe from community outreach, which pretty well kills the rest of that one. So I guess a suggestion that I would have is, given, and this has nothing to do with the meeting we were previously in, but given that the county extension office has been missing a director for a little while, there's $20,000 there between programming and student and youth development that has not been touched at all.
Yeah.
I certainly wouldn't be in favor of using all of that, the 20,000, but I do think that given past usage of that in that department, which it usually has run short or not at all in some of those areas, that would be a possibility for now. I think it would be helpful to maybe, save a good $5,000 in there for our new director when they're hired to maybe jumpstart a program and then let them speak into the budget for next year. But I guess given where everything's at, and also knowing that I just got back today, I haven't had a chance to really clear that with extension in any way. But that would be my suggestion at this point, as really the only place that I can see that I wouldn't feel like it was too out of place to do that.
Okay, let me ask you a quick question, Ray, because you brought up the process. The process we've talked about in the past, and we haven't gotten into routine yet because we just set up the new system, would be to have a mid-year budget review to make sure people are spending their budget against the plan that they've gotten. If they're underspending and it's not going to be done, there ought to be ways to reallocate that. I liked your idea of keeping it there. And we could also reallocate it back from other departments as we go along too. So, but you haven't had a chance to look at the other departments across the entire
Across the entire general
Spectrum,
fund,
yes.
yeah, I have, and so I would say, just my knowledge of how departments have run, for example, elections is short in their department,
Yeah.
but that's because they've got another election coming up.
Yeah.
So I would not feel comfortable even suggesting anything like that.
Mhm.
It would be examples like that throughout. This is really the only one that I see that that I would know that has not normally been spent anyway.
Okay, is the same a true? We had the department, the planning and zoning hiatus too, with a new hire at a lower rate.
Mhm.
Did that affect it much? Is there any, or the other departments that we've hired into?
The other one would possibly be jail. And some salary savings there since they're running at 50% of capacity for employment there. Could be a possibility. Yeah, again, not one that I've reached out to Sheriff Hill at all or any regarding that.
Excuse me, Tom, what would that amount be roughly? Is it 10,000 or 20?
Public health salary would also be.
Yeah, there's another one there.
possible. Just to give a number to that right now, they're at 27%, so 36,000 of their 136,000.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Right now, so that's at 27% used at this point,
Which
which,
is
I'm sorry,
public health.
public health salary.
That's right. They had-
We should be at 66% if we're looking at consistently over, spending consistently over these months, we would be at 66% right now. So that's clearly well under.
To look and see if he's got a surge planned for something.
Right, and there should not be, there should be an increase in the rate there, but that number should stay consistent through the end of the year.
Good. Okay,
And I would, looking at the jail again, they're at 47%, but so I would feel more comfortable with the public health side before I go to the jail.
Mhm. Okay,
Yeah, I get a little nervous about talking about jail because that's an elected official. We've committed a budget number to him. Certainly, if we were gonna dive into that, I think it would require a conversation with the sheriff.
absolutely.
The extension, youth development, and program lines obviously doesn't take into account salary because CSU pays 80% of that anyway. So 20% of roughly a 2-month savings, not going to account for a whole lot of savings there, I would think, on the salary for the extension director.
But that's not salary, isn't
No, I'm just saying.
Oh, that's what you said.
If we sorted out salary,
it? Oh,
really not worth having much of a conversation because it's 20% of 2 months.
Yeah.
That's my point there. I agree that to completely drain the youth development and program funding line there would be bordering irresponsible because what's the point of hiring a new director if they're not gonna have any money to do anything with? So are they gonna need or use $20,000 between now and the end of the year? Probably not.
that's a good point. And even if it's half, 10,000 there and the public health seems like 10,000 would be a lot easier to get because it'd take a heck of a surge to spend, what is it? 60,000 more bucks.
Well, they're 100 by the end of the year.
Yeah, clear up to, yeah.
And that's just salaries, correct?
Just salaries.
Because his salary has been being covered by grants.
Yeah, so the way that actually works would be that 20, did I say 23%?
27.
27%, thank you. That 27%
That's
is
good.
just to cover
Good.
what grants have not for salaries at this point.
That's good to know.
So let me, if I may, sir, ask a clarifying question here. Maybe I'm not remembering things exactly right from the last budget hearing. I thought the public health director said he was going to quote unquote give himself a raise from those grants on top of the county budgeted salary for him. If that's true, then we've expended county budget dollars on his salary plus extra money from out of the grants. If that's the case, then I'm a little confused about how he's at 27% salary and not 66%.
I would say that it's maximizing the usage of the grant.
Okay,
So.
I know that's what he said he was gonna try to do first.
So instead of spending county money because we have it to spend, it's still, it is the second, it's the second thing.
Okay.
It covers what doesn't
Okay.
happen.
yeah, I guess I didn't go into the budget thing last year thinking that's what was gonna happen. I thought he was gonna take county budget plus X dollars out of grant money, but he's taken X dollars out of grant money to supplant, or really to replace salary money for the
Yeah,
county.
Which would include that increase as well.
Okay. Well, there may be your pot of gold.
Yeah.
I'd certainly rather take it out of there than out of extension.
And we have the extension as a backup if something else fell apart for some reason. Or if something else is needed, you got public health as well.
So what you're saying is possibly to take it all from public health rather than a split.
Correct.
Then deal with the rest of the budget requirement for next year during the budget hearing.
Well, yeah, and that's another conversation that merits being had here. Obviously, we're not gonna know that until we get to the budget hearing, but are we painting ourselves into a corner to say we don't have any choice about the other 20,000? We're gonna have to budget that in because we've already jumped on this grant.
That's true, except that it depends on what the rest of what they're gonna ask for. In addition, that's true. We gotta make the airport meet, it is one of the entities that does make money for the county, so there'll be income available to offset some of this. We'll have to see. We're gonna have to see what they're gonna come back with.
I'm saying if we rounded to say 17,000, just for the sake of even numbers. At this point, our total is 29,721, so say $30,000, so we would be looking at 13,000
next year.
rather than 20.
So a vote yes today in reality means there's gonna be a vote yes in October.
We're gonna have to find it. That's correct.
Yeah.
It's how we fund it that's gonna be up for grabs.
Right, I'm saying, do we fund it or not? I'm saying we're probably gonna fund it.
And we
There's
did
no
commit
sense
to
in-
that when we
there's no
said
sense in
we're gonna
saying
do it.
yes now and no.
Yeah, and no,
Exactly,
that's
what I'm
right.
saying, we
It's
won't
gonna
have a
be-
choice in October.
Yeah, it has to be something we deal with.
We get in bed with this now, we're gonna pay the price in October. How we do it is irrelevant to this point. That's something we'll have to sort out in October.
Yeah, and like we said, the last meeting, we are in bed with it because we committed to getting it done. And they
Great.
gave us the gift. Go ahead.
Is there a strategy to just going ahead and planning to fund it all through that right now? Going ahead and paying the 29,721. I mean, that's.
That
another
money would
option,
carry over
since-
anyway.
Since
if
there
we
seems
could.
to be that there and then we're not
Right.
extending it
Piecemeal.
next.
As long as we can hang on to it and earmark it, so it's there for next year as we go through the budget process.
I would mean writing the check now for the full
For
amount.
the full match.
Well, we could, but the way the state works, you have to have the work done and then they reimburse us. So we'd have to write it to ourselves and bank it or something on it.
You bring up a great point. This whole runway CIP thing, grant is a reimbursable grant.
That's right.
We're gonna have to cough up a lot more than 30 grand to get reimbursed. Correct?
Yeah, we have to have the money. What we have to cough up now, between now and the end of the year, when we would have to pay it is $24,785. That's what the fog seal is.
But what about the reimbursable grant? Are we
That
gonna
is
have to
it.
Pay that, not the match, the grant.
No,
itself.
that's the grant. That is, the grant would reimburse the everything but 5% of that one. In other words, they would reimburse the 16,000.
Yeah, I just don't know if this is a reimbursable grant. If it is, we're gonna have to pay the whole 400,000.
No, I know it is, Tom. It is a
It's
reimbursement.
reimbursable,
Yes,
so we
it
gotta
is.
pay it
We pay it upfront.
175,000.
We have to pay, this is pay as you go. So what we're dealing with, the way it's laid out there on that state sheet, it just shows you the total is 400,000,
Right.
period. And it's in two pieces. The first one is this fog seal, and that's the cost I just stated, and that's the cost we're gonna spend, but
175.
it's it's the actual bid that we are paying for it. This is just the money, how it's logged. This is how it's being spent. The fog seal is the first chunk, and it is the 224,000 that we will spend, next month and cut, and once we get the invoice. That will be
224.
224,785 at 43 cents if you're carrying the cents.
75. That's for the fog seal.
Yeah, that's for the and some of the marking.
And so we're gonna have to pay that up front,
Right.
then submit it.
Then we'll submit it and we'll get it reimbursed in a couple weeks or month. They're really good at putting it in immediately. So we will have spent, then actual dollars is the $16,000 that we're not going to get back.
Yeah, that does change the conversation a little bit. In how we do it. And so we would need to in this budget resolution say, is the fog seal the only thing that we're doing this year?
Mhm.
Okay, so then we would need to say that we are increasing capital outlay
Mhm.
by 224,785.43 for an expense. We are increasing the revenue and capital outlay by whatever 92.57% of that is. And then to make up for the rest of that, I would think that we would just go ahead and cut public health. Well, we would have to move that, whatever we determine from the general fund to become revenue within the capital improvement.
That's correct.
However, wouldn't that budget amendment include the 224,785 plus the 16,858? Isn't the match going to be an expense item?
No, they just don't reimburse it. So,
No, for the county.
Yeah, so the expense.
oh, I see how he's bookkeeping.
Yeah, the expense would be that total amount. The revenue would be the sum of what we get back from the state.
Right.
And then what we transfer from general fund.
Right,
Which would equal that full expense amount.
right, and correct.
Yeah.
Works for me. And we can, in our budget discussions, that, there's carryover at the end of the year. We always want to have a margin. We never want to overspend. And so there is that amount that will roll into it. And then at the front of the year, it's the process that you'll have to have the earmark that next match. So we've got it in the budget. That rebounds, what was it, Kevin, and you added?
What's that?
Set 13,000 more dollars or 17, I don't know.
13,000. That's what we would have left for after reimbursement. But if we expend 225,000 now, then we're talking, that would be another 175,000 that we would need to budget for.
Right, in order to have that there so we can spend it and get reimbursed.
Which this whole conversation screens the whole long strand of we have got to figure out a way to start earmarking some matching dollars.
That's right, and that's what he's gonna pick
We
up in
can't
this.
just keep robbing.
Yeah, it definitely over my year and a half now. That grant process, I've got a lot of ideas for, and I think that has to happen.
Right.
Under the commissioner line item, having a grant matching, we've got $150,000 set aside, or whatever we determine is
You just
logical.
don't, you just fence that off and can't spend.
And then when we have this conversation, we go ahead and rob the $16,000 from that to bring over to capital improvement. And once we've spent that, then that's our grants for the year.
Donna used to do it. She just held it in the general fund and she always made, notes on how much was there already earmarked you couldn't spend. This will be able to account for it and have visibility on what grants are getting funded and how, when. You'll be able to have visibility on what's reserved in the bank.
And in this specific case, is the matching grant a capital improvement expense?
Yes.
Yes. Anything that is over $1,000 is what we have it set at right now, and has a useful life of over a year, would be considered a capital outlay.
And this is supposed to save us a bunch of money, so we'll see how it works in the 10-year period. All right, well, I'll make a motion that we allocate, how do we want to do that? The matching funds, $17,000, and earmark that to match pay the match, the full amount of what the grant is, the $224,800 X dollars.
Yeah, I'll second that, to come out of.
Public health fund.
Does that cover everything that you need covered, sir?
I think we still need a resolution.
So discussion wise, then you need to close
Still
with
need to vote on the
Dr.
resolution.
Brown before so we know what the plan is there. So we got to see where it is. There
I'll
any
just
other
need it.
stuff?
He won't notice it.
Yeah.
Well, we voted
You'll
on
just need, remember, this is being recorded. I mean, it's your words.
So we can do this in two pieces.
Yeah, we will have to do it.
Okay.
And if we vote on this today, he's not gonna have any input on it anyway.
No, it doesn't matter.
It'll be
Just
done.
what matters is if it were something that we'd have to look at later because he's got some else, we'd have to look at another department or whatever that's not fully using the money and make that up if there was some need. But I can't imagine him coming up for a need of $100,000 in 3 months or whatever.
So maybe it would be best just not to have a motion today, and then knowing that the resolution's coming to.
We have to have a resolution to do that. Well, I guess not, because you're gonna
The
write the
resolution
resolution.
will cover
Yeah, we're just
that.
gonna mount, that's right. Yeah, that's true. Okay, cool. So you want me to withdraw that?
Well, it hadn't been restated yet, so you can withdraw it on your own if you want.
That doesn't matter then, so let's do it by the resolution.
We're expecting that today,
What's that?
budget amendment resolution.
No, I'll have to
For
have
the-
that written up and then
We'll vote on it
vote on that.
the next meeting.
And end of the month, right? That's the next one,
Mhm.
31st.
Yeah, we're not gonna get the invoice until next couple, 6 weeks probably, or maybe less.
And just to make sure I have the numbers correct then, so this would be we would be on the hook for at 7.43% of the 224, 785.43.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the average of the two, that's how they're bookkeeping. It doesn't matter. That's gonna be the result. Okay,
All right.
next one is the,
Yes, so we're looking at consideration of Ludi Mora. I hope I pronounced that correct.
you did?
For the Silver West Airport Board as their secretary.
You both met her, right?
No,
She was selling the cups if you stopped by.
I
there.
saw her, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't
actually
talk to her? Did you talk to her?
Yeah. I
She,
did.
she conned me
looks like-
into buying 6 cups.
And they look
So
like
she's good.
this if you're-
Yeah, they're good cups.
Little small, looks like.
She got a hold of you too, or did she give it to you?
My
No, I
wife,
paid
my
for
wife,
All
my wife wanted a cap, so I bought her a cap.
right, so all we need to do is Kelly, we're just ratifying, or not ratifying, but we're accepting this recommendation. And how do we say it here? It was we want to approve, we'll nominate, they've nominated Ludi Mora as, for us to approve as the secretary and,
And I don't think, because you guys don't
No.
approve their
No.
their chair, their secretary.
That's right.
I think you just are gonna approve her to the board.
we re-request, that's correct. We approve her, that's
They
correct.
can appoint her as secretary.
They could
Appoint her to the
appointed her already. We just want to make sure she's on our list and is on the board.
She's not a board member, she's just the secretary, volunteer secretary, right?
No, she's a
They
board
want her
member
to be-
Oh,
and
okay,
secretary.
all right.
So I move that we approve her as our to be on the airport board as requested.
I would second that motion. Okay, so we do have a motion on the floor to approve. Go back here, Ludi Mora. To become a member of the Silver West Airport Board.
Correct.
Discussion.
Yes, I'm looking desperately here and I don't see it. Link to the term.
No, that's a good question. I don't know.
Airport board, here we go.
I think
I
it's,
sent that to you.
yeah, I think
maybe a
it's,
month ago,
Yeah.
or 2 months ago.
I think it's 3 years, isn't
But since it's mid-year, it'll only go through. Is she taking over
Well,
for
that was what I
somebody?
was gonna
it?
get
Yeah,
to.
she has to the secretary quit.
Oh, yeah,
but
it
as
was
board
Sharon.
member,
Sharon,
Yeah, so
well, she had quit as a board member. I'm
She
sorry.
wasn't a board member.
she'll
Sharon.
just fill Sharon's spot. So when does Sharon?
Well, she's on there now, Tom. Sharon was as a time, her term ended on 1/24. Sharon's, yeah,
So she'd go through
Through
124.
yeah. So she would be, did you see this? She would be through 1/24. I guess they're, if in there, the copies, they're 2 copies.
No, it's just 2 pages.
Yeah, I had forgotten that we must have appointed Sharon as a full board member last I remember.
We did.
She was volunteering, but she's on the list and it is a 3-year term.
And that's why he was anxious to get it replaced so that the board was full.
I'm
Brian,
assuming we are appointing her to fill out Sharon Conley's term.
through 1/24.
Any other discussion on that? Okay. User.
Fine.
All right,
Was this yours? Ken?
Yep, it's mine.
Oh, okay.
all those in favor then of approving Ludi Mora to be placed on the Silver West Airport Board through 1/24, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay,
You gonna vote?
I did, but at the same time you did.
Oh, you did? I'm sorry.
He's
That's why I didn't hear you.
That's right.
Okay.
He's a silent voter.
I was jumping in there a little quicker this time, just so you wouldn't have to worry. Any other additional items of business?
Hey, you asked me to remind you about the potential of the 7th and 8th of September, have you having a conflict?
I told you I had something.
Hey, I
you were
remember, I even made a note.
Conflict for the meeting?
And I will not know the answer to that until the 30th. And this is in regards to Gala.
Yeah.
We were supposed to have a PET scan scheduled in a bone marrow before her 5th round of treatments. They did call us this morning. They have scheduled us for blood work and an appointment with the doctor on the 30th. And they have also scheduled us for the 5th round of treatments on September 7th and 8th.
Morning time.
Uh,
You need a
11
whole day.
11 o'clock
Oh,
in Colorado Springs, so that would present me with a conflict on the morning, our meeting on the 7th. That being said, it may turn out to be a non-conflict, but I will not know that until the 30th. So I guess if you would like, we could address it on, we could put it on the agenda for the 31st if there is a conflict. Maybe we could reschedule the 7th, or I could try to get someone else to take her to Springs.
so one thing we could do, you could call in.
It'd be a little tough, because they'd be traveling part of that time.
Yeah, that's right.
What about the 8th? Is that a possibility to move the 7th meeting to the 8th?
Well, you said the 7th and the 8th.
We'd have to slide them
I
both
think
over.
our meetings are the 7th and 8th,
No,
correct?
6th and 7th.
7.
What day are you actually gonna need it?
Yeah,
Kevin?
Tell you here shortly.
And while you're doing that, if I may, sir,
Yes.
I think we need to reach back out to the airport board and let them know we did not appoint her as a secretary. That was their
I'll
request of
clarify
us.
that.
So,
Yeah, we've never approved their officers. That's up to
because they
them.
didn't say anything about replacing or appointing her as a board member. We just did that on our own. That wasn't their request.
I thought it said secretary, board member.
Airport board
Airport board
secretary,
secretary.
Board secretary.
which is what Sharon was.
That's just a mistake on their part. It's a nomination request for approval of the airport board position. So if they want to call the secretary, that's up to them. Position on the
Would
board,
be up to them to put her in as secretary.
but yeah, but I'll clarify that.
So that round of treatments is the 7th and the 8th,
Okay, both days. Okay.
11 and
You
11:15.
do the 6th and the 9th, you don't have to do back-to-back days. Or here,
6th and the,
6th and the 9th of September, that would move.
Except for
we
closed.
don't work
the
on
ninth.
the 9th.
Well, we don't have to be. You can just open it up again.
Well, that's
right?
right. I'm sorry, because I worked on county stuff 24/7.
Oh,
so-
you do, so you don't. get
Wait a minute, you're
Yeah,
20.
right.
So the 4-day week means nothing.
Billable hours, there's only 168 hours in a week, and I gotta bill all of them.
Right.
I've never heard you worry about hours before.
We could look,
Forgot about that.
what might be best for me is if I can see if I can have someone else take her up and then I could go up after the meeting.
Yeah, you're-
Go up and
that's right.
stay for those, we stay up there for those treatments.
Stay overnight, be.
If we managed our agendas, could we do the meeting on September 6th in the morning and do the meeting of September 7th in the afternoon? Staff reports mostly.
What, do you have anything coming up on either of those considerations? Probably for you.
Yeah, no.
Just knock them both out on Tuesday.
That would work for me.
I'd be in
if it
favor of
would work for
that
you,
personally.
gentlemen.
I would too, rather than start to try to string that Wednesday out to.
Well, Jack's people around too that want to attend the meetings.
And we could think of that tentatively, and I will know an answer after the 30th, so I will know an answer when we come into our monthly meeting.
On the 31st.
So,
Yeah, that's only 5 days. Four of which will be weekends or holidays.
so
I don't have a problem making a decision today about holding both of those meetings on the 6th.
So by consensus, I think we ought to do it 6th.
that would work good for me. I appreciate you gentlemen
Yeah.
working with me.
And if we work it right, we ought to be able to get through it. I mean, Fremont County does 2 yards long.
I'll try to
paper
do two Well, with staff reports, I doubt if I can get us out in 45 minutes. So
I would
Depends on what you tell the staff.
that would
So
mean
what
that we
time, good
cancel
afternoon.
the meeting on September the 7th and reschedule that meeting for September the 6th, beginning at 1 p.m.
Actually, what we're doing is putting the agenda together. So there'll be one big agenda that will last through noon. Because you're gonna schedule all the staff reports in a row.
Gonna say, why don't you just run them all?
It's just all, it's not two separate meetings. It's
we
really,
could recess for lunch if we needed to.
yeah, that's what would happen. So we just have all staff reports in a row,
So just cancel the meeting on the 7th
right?
Okay.
and have all staff
All
reports
staff
on the
reports.
6th.
And all new
Agenda
business if
item.
they're any.
I'm good with that. So I'll rephrase. Move to cancel the meeting on September the 7th and conduct all the staff reports plus any agenda items on September the 6th.
And Jennifer, you can challenge us by putting an ending time of 2 o'clock on there. See if we can do
I got you.
it.
I
Log
say
them out.
one.
I would second that motion.
Okay, thank you.
So we do have a motion on the floor to cancel the VOCC meeting on September 7th and move all the staff reports to the meeting on September 6th, as well as any other agenda items that may come up between now and then. Any further discussion?
Only that we would direct our administrative assistant to let all those folks know.
I'll let them know as soon as possible.
Make sure they
And
read
then the timing, who knows how that's gonna be, but
That's why I said she can log it in there so we get out at 2.
one after the other. We're not gonna be able to tell somebody on the Wednesday when you need to be here at 11:15.
No, we always have that problem anyway, Tom.
We can give them a little advance notices we're
Yeah.
coming up. Any discussion from anyone else? Not seeing anything online. Okay, those in favor of canceling the BOCC meeting on September 7th and conducting that business on September 6th, as well as any other business that comes up, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much for your indulgence of me. Any other,
Clint, do you want to meet on the 4th, on the 5th? You want us to come in and have a meeting on the 5th?
On Labor Day?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Why they call it
It
Labor Day?
doesn't matter, I'm billing anyway, but you pay to get your money's worth.
They call it Labor Day, we should work.
Yeah, sure,
right?
yeah.
Double or triple time.
Yeah.
Okay,
all right, I'm not hearing any other new additional items of business. Public comment. Anything from in here? Anything online? I'm not seeing any hands raised.
okay.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to move into executive session.
I move that we move into executive session for legal advice from our county attorney, the our panhandler, Clint Smith.
Executive sessions cost extra, I guarantee you.
Yeah. I'll say that.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to enter into an executive session for legal advice. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Are we indicating who we want in that executive session?
Yes, the executive session will be the 3 county commissioners. That would be Kevin Day, Bill Kenda, Tom Flower, our attorney Clint Smith.
I need Brady.
HR Finance Braden Wilson, clerk to the board Kelly Camper, and we want our admin assistant here as well.
Doesn't have to be, I
I
guess.
think so.
If you want, should she stay? We're not recording it.
I don't see that she needs
She
to,
doesn't need
frankly.
Okay, so if you could probably step out as well, then we'll holler at you when we go to fire back
Can't
up.
she just go home now? Is it-
Yeah.
No.
No, she has to fire. All right, this is Kevin Day, Chair of the Custer County Board of County Commissioners, and we are re-entering our special Board of County Commissioners meeting. The time is now 5:40 p.m. And the executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were myself, Commissioner Kanda, Commissioner Flower, Attorney Clint Smith, Clerk to the Board Kelly Camper, and HR Braden Wilson. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record now. Hearing none. We will move back onto our agenda for the,
Do I need to make my statement now? for the
yes,
record?
please, sir.
Okay. This is Clint Smith, County Attorney. The executive session was at my request for the purpose of giving legal advice to the Board of County Commissioners. The discussion stayed on topic at all times and no decisions were made in executive session.
Thank you, sir. And having no other items on our agenda, I would adjourn this meeting of the special meeting of the Board of County Commissioners at 5:42 p.m.
Amen.
Thank you all.
All right.
Clint, when you get that statement, you gotta sign.
Okay.